Hello, welcome to He's Hop, but something is off with me, just Joey T. I've got like a weird thing on the inside of my cheeks. You know, sometimes maybe you bite the inside of your cheeks and you get like a little wound there, and it just hurts to sometimes eat or drink or I don't know, whatever. So that's me right now. I don't know what it is. Something on the inside of my left cheek. Maybe I bit it by accident and I didn't recognize it, but yeah, it hurts. Anyways, how are y'all doing today? As you are listening to this, I am in South Korea. I am in Seoul, and I'm there all week. And if nothing bad happens, knock on wood, I will come back after the weekend to Los Angeles. So it was not a trip that I thought I was going to go on. And I've never been to South Korea before. I knew that there was a party, but I'm not going on parties right now because I don't have the income. I'm not really going on parties. The only trips I am allowed to go on is if it's a business trip where I get some return on my investment for doing collabs and the content creation. Or a few times a year, I go back and visit family in Vancouver. So I knew that one of my friends from Sydney, he is going to Seoul for this circuit party. Not a super big, huge deal circuit party, but he's doing a lot of traveling this summer, and it's one of his stops. And based on that, I was like, oh, I'm just curious what flight prices are, because I'll let myself window shop, and I'm an AV geek anyway, so looking up flights and looking up planes, that kind of stuff, it's just fun for me. And I'm totally okay with window shopping. Sometimes people window shop and they will just turn that into actual shopping. I'm very good at window shopping and looking at things online and not buying things. So I do that all the time. I did every day, honestly. So I was just looking at flights, and flights weren't super expensive. And then I was like, well, I do need content. And the last time I went to Asia was in April. That was a very successful collab trip. It was my first collab trip, in a sense that it was the first trip I took where the overwhelming reason was to do collabs. I actually didn't go to any parties. It was pretty much only just to do collabs. But it was very successful. I got so much content out of that, and it lasted me like 3 whole months. I had 3 whole months of collab content. But I'm starting to run a little low on collab content. Obviously, I don't have to go halfway around the world to do collabs, but I do want to collab with a lot of creators that are in Asia. And I had plans already to go back to Taipei Pride in end of October, and then possibly to Bangkok for New Year's, as I usually do. I used to go there for a party, but I might make it kind of a collab trip this time. Anyways, so I was thinking, well, I don't have enough content. The content from the April trip is pretty much all about to run out. I need to do more collabs. My friend is gonna go to Seoul for that one party. I haven't seen him in a while. It would be nice to see him. So I'm thinking, if I can make the numbers make sense, the dollar numbers make sense, and I can find enough collabs, then I think we can go to Seoul. That's what happened, basically. It's a business trip. Technically, officially, it's a business trip because business comes first. So I'm going to get there. I'm leaving this. Well, I already left by the time you heard this. I left last weekend, and I will be there for the week, basically. So I have the week during the weekdays to get my collabs in. And then when the weekend comes, that's when the party is. I'll moving to the hotel where the party actually is hosted at that hotel. My friend from Sydney is staying there too, and then we can just have like a couple of days to party, and then I fly back to the U.S. So yeah, fingers crossed. That's how that trip came about, and I'm a little nervous about the language barrier. It makes me very uncomfortable to go somewhere where if I don't know the local language, it's very hard to like do basic things. I've talked about this before, I think, where in Bangkok, they have so many tourists that visit year round, everywhere, all the time, that if you don't know English, it's fine, because everyone is very accommodating of foreigners who are visiting. I feel like most places are not like Bangkok. You know, a lot of major cities don't depend that much on tourism, that they are accommodating to someone who doesn't speak the local language. You can't just assume that everywhere you go, you can just speak English, especially not in Asia. That's like I feel like that's a very like American thing to do, to make that assumption. So I'm learning like basic bits of Korean. I'm working on the number system right now. What I'm trying to do is to see if I'm getting the pronunciation correct. I've been listening to like online apps or YouTube videos or whatever. And then to practice my pronunciation, I've been talking to Google Translate to see if Google Translate will understand me. More like sometimes I'm yelling at Google Translate. I was trying to learn, it was a couple of days ago, I was trying to learn just the numbers like 1 to 10, just counting 1 to 10 in Korean. And there's two number systems with completely different pronunciations, which makes it twice the amount of work to do numbers in Korean. One of the systems is kind of easy because it's actually based on Chinese, and I know just enough Chinese that, it kind of sounds like Cantonese and it kind of sounds like Mandarin. So it was like, okay, that actually wasn't that hard for me to do that one. But then they have the native Korean number system, which is what's used for counting things. And I could do up to 4 pretty easily. But then like to count 5 up to 10, for the love of God, I spent like a whole hour yelling at Google Translate on my laptop, trying to get it to understand what I was saying. I eventually got it by the end of that hour, but it was about 45 minutes of trying very hard to learn how to count 1 to 10 in Korean. It's very, I don't know if you guys can relate, but it gives me so much anxiety if I go into a shop, a store, a restaurant, or whatever, and I can't communicate with them. And like, I just don't, if we don't speak the same language, it just gives me so much anxiety, because especially in a country where the norms and the cultural expectations are not the same necessarily as what I'm used to. Because I just feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't communicate. I don't want to accidentally offend someone by, doing some sort of gesture that might be offensive that I don't know about, because, like the cultural norms are different here. So that gives me a lot of anxiety. So a lot of the times, if I have to travel somewhere where I can't be reasonably sure that they accommodate English-speaking tourists, I would try to make my life as easy as possible in terms of where I stay and the things I do beforehand. So a lot of people, when they travel, they will like to try like the local food, kind of immerse themselves in the local culture. I'm not that kind of girl. I don't want to sightsee. I just naturally don't like to sightsee. Doesn't matter if I know the language or whatever, where it is. I just don't like sightseeing. I picked up my friend from the airport the other day, one of Louis' daddies, and we were just talking about this. I don't like sightseeing. I just don't like to do it. But anyways, if I'm traveling somewhere and it's the local language is spoken, it's not one of the languages I speak, and I'm there more for work than for travel or to hang out with friends. If I'm going somewhere and then I'm meeting friends up there, or I'm traveling there with friends, like we're in a group, like that's fine. We'll figure it out as a group, things to do and things to eat or whatever. But I'm solo, that's where I get like the most nervous. So I will stick to things that I know, like a Starbucks or like a McDonald's. I can hear a lot of you guys cringing. It's like, oh, why do you go to McDonald's when you travel? When I'm traveling by myself and it's like a work trip, the point is not to try the local food or do fancy things. It's just for sustenance. It's just for nutrition. I just need carbs and proteins. I'm not looking for anything fancy. I'm not looking for variety. Like, I'm there to like work or to do on business or have meetings or do something. I'm not there to actually try out the food. That's actually what I'm going to be. As you're listening, that's probably exactly what I'm doing right now. So I actually have my meals kind of sort of planned out. I kind of sort of know where to go for food. The hotel obviously has like a restaurant. They have this buffet type restaurant. And they do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's actually not super cheap. The breakfast is $25, but it's a buffet, so you can eat all you want. So, and I love having a breakfast at a hotel. I like the concept. You wake up and you don't have to get super, super dressed up unless it's like a nice hotel. And I don't tend to stay at super nice hotels anyways. This is like a 4-point Sheraton, okay? It's not that nice. So I can just wake up and I can just go to the buffet. And I love a buffet anyways. You guys have heard me talk about the buffets on the cruise ships. I love it. And especially with my IBS, my gastrointestinal situation right now, and because of the type of work I'll be doing and the type of content I'll be filming, is very, very important, extremely important that, how should we say, that there is never, ever a chance of rain down south. You know what I mean? There cannot be any floods. There cannot be any precipitation. It needs to be 74 and sunny at all times downstairs, at least until the weekend when all my work meetings, wink, wink, are done. So because of the unique situation my gastrointestinal system is in, and because I'm traveling somewhere where I don't have access to a kitchen, it's just like a regular hotel, I just have to be very, very careful what I eat. So having a buffet is good for that, but I can pick and choose exactly, okay, I can't have any onions and garlic right now, for example, because people with IBS, they're usually very sensitive to onions and garlic, and that could very easily ruin their day. So by going to buffet, being able to pick and choose exactly what I want, I can better control what I eat. There is like 3 different McDonald's that's like walking distance to the hotel. I did look this up on Google Maps and on Street View, and I made sure they were McDonald's that had the touchscreen. I don't actually think the touchscreen ordering displays are as common in the US, but I think in Asia they're more common. There was a bunch in Bangkok, for example. But basically, it's just a kiosk that you can, with a giant touchscreen TV, that you can walk up to and you can just order. And all the McDonald's ones, almost no matter where they're in the world, they always have an English option. Because I think it's a proven statistic that McDonald's tend to attract English-speaking foreigners and tourists and visitors, regardless of what country that McDonald's is in. Because again, a lot of tourists, not a lot, but there's a good amount of tourists that would just stick to things that they know and are comfortable. That's why Starbucks is popular in a lot of different countries. McDonald's is popular in a lot of countries. KFC is popular in a lot of countries, right? It's sometimes a novelty for the locals to have like an American chain, right? But it's also good to attract some of the English speaking or the American tourist population, because sometimes they just want to have some comfort food from home. So something like a KFC, McDonald's, Starbucks, that's really good for that. So I'm walking distance to Starbucks, I'm walking distance to a McDonald's, and I can order things like that. I could be eating a lot of McDonald's, but I like eating McDonald's. Me and David Lamb, we actually like McDonald's. At home, I don't go to McDonald's, but I just cook all my food at home. But yeah, even at McDonald's, I can only eat a very limited number of things. Beef patties, the cheese that comes on it, only because it's super processed, so there's no actual dairy in it, honestly. Tomatoes, lettuce, eggs, fries. I'm not even supposed to be eating the bun off of the sandwiches because that's wheat, and wheat triggers my IBS. So there you go. And a lot of items have anything that's fried, the breading is bread and it has wheat. And a lot of things that are seasoned guess what they're seasoning with? Onions and garlic, or onion powder and garlic powder, for example, which is even more concentrated than regular onions and regular garlic. Yeah, so it'll be a little bit tricky with the diet, but I hope to eventually, after this trip, I think I'll have enough data and have gone on my current diet for long enough to make some additions back into the diet to see what things I can tolerate, and also to talk to my gastroenterologist. I think that's how you pronounce it. The specialist doctor about what other things I can try. She had me try out these very expensive probiotic pills, and I did some research on them. It's like legit stuff. They're classified by the FDA as quote unquote medical food. It's not like the probiotics pills that you can just get off the shelf that are, I think, regulated as supplements. It's actually considered medical food by the FDA. Is beyond what supplements are. So I guess maybe they get some additional level of scrutiny and regulation on them. But it's supposed to be pretty potent stuff, and you're supposed to take it for at least a month to know whether it helps or not, because apparently with my condition, people in this situation, sometimes the probiotics help, sometimes they don't. It doesn't usually make it worse, but it doesn't help everyone. So I've been taking it for 3 weeks now, and a 1 month supply is $65. It's not that cheap. So, and I can't quite tell if it's my diet that's making it better and the antibiotics are just chilling, not doing anything, or if the antibiotics is actually doing something. So I think I need a little more than a month to figure that out. But I've got my trip coming up, so I won't have all those weeks under my belt until I come back. So yeah, it's like the worst. I'm in the worst situation to have some of these issues because I bottom and it directly affects my career, which is like the worst. For someone who doesn't bottom and someone who is not doing the type of content that I do, I think it would just be an inconvenience because let's put it this way. If there's rain on the way, if you get my drift, for me, it's not the type of rain where it comes out of nowhere and you need to open the floodgates immediately. But I don't usually actually know whether it's flooding or not until I go to the bathroom. So in a way, that's better. It doesn't affect usually when I need to go to the bathroom, because sometimes that is possible with people. For me, it's just, it's the regular time that I have a movement, so that's when I go. And is it sunny or rainy? Well, we don't know. So at least it doesn't interrupt my day. Like it doesn't pull me away from my current activity unless it's some very specific bottoming activities. So that's like the only silver lining with me is that, well, it's not like explosive and I have to like go hug a toilet for 2 hours or something like that. But yeah, it's like it's why do these things happen to me? Why do these things happen to me? So there you go. But yeah, I think just to get it under control with diet and management and everything, because it does need to be managed, but it has a high rate of occurrence in a lot of people. If I can't get it fixed permanently, I mean, I'm so used to eating the diet I'm eating right now that it's not a huge problem. But yeah, when I come back, I'm going to spend a little more time at the doctors and figuring some of this stuff out. But yeah, I don't know. When you grow up, you just thought, everything is perfect and, all that kind of stuff. But the older you get, the more problems you notice with your body. And it's hard to explain to someone who's young the different things that go wrong. Yeah, people make jokes about how your knees will start to go and then you get back pain and all that kind of stuff. The way it creeps up on you is actually very, very subtle. So I've got some knee problems, but for me, my age is probably not the predominant factor in my knee issues. I think it's just me lifting weights and maybe not having done it with the totally correct form in some of my earlier years, in my 20s, for example. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope I'm having fun in Seoul while you're listening to this. And I will be back next week. I thought about maybe recording something in Seoul. I don't know if I'm going to have time to record an episode of the podcast in Seoul. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But at the very least, next week, on next week's podcast episode, I'm going to spill the tea on everything that happened while I was in Seoul. I'll let all of you know how it went. And if you're curious, you can always follow me on my Instagram, which is also has the username JustJoeyT, because I'm going to try to at least post a few stories here and there while I am in Seoul, so you can catch my real-time update on Instagram. But until next time, when I spill the tea from my trip to Seoul, I will see you later. Bye.